In a world saturated with noise, distractions, and half-baked truths, where stories are spun faster than facts can breathe, and public opinion is shaped long before evidence even sees the light. We're not here to stir outrage. We're not playing sides, pushing narratives, or chasing clicks. We're here to cut through the fog, to bring the truth, raw, real, and often uncomfortable. Our judgments are built on transparency, logic, and actual evidence, not on assumptions, not on headlines, and definitely not on emotional bait. We're not here to tell you what to think. We're here to give you everything you need so you can decide what's real. Welcome to Truth Unfiltered with Critical Thinkers, where the truth is louder than the mob. What happens when the world's most beloved actor becomes a brand, and the brand is all people see? When scandal strikes, does humanity still matter, or is survival only about protecting the marketable image? It's a dilemma that has haunted the entertainment industry for decades, but in the digital era, the stakes feel higher than ever before. In an environment where a single headline can erase years of carefully built reputation, and where public sentiment shifts at the speed of a trending hashtag, the question of humanity versus marketability takes on an almost existential urgency. For fans, the answer seems obvious. Of course, humanity should matter more. And yet, in practice, many unknowingly become participants in a system that rewards image over authenticity. Fans advocate for damage control. Agencies scramble to protect revenue streams. Brands reassess partnerships based on PR fallout rather than truth. In the end, the actor, the person, becomes less important than the brand entity they have been molded into. It is within this tension that our story today unfolds. It's a question that echoes across industries, across cultures, across time, but it feels especially sharp here today, in the context of an actor who has for many become more than just a star. Today, we go beyond the headlines and the hashtags to ask a harder question. Who is Kim Soo Hyun when the cameras stop rolling? There are few figures in contemporary entertainment whose public persona is as intricately tied to their personal identity as Kim Soo Hyun. He is not just an actor, he is a symbol of hard work, perseverance, emotional depth, and perhaps most dangerously, perfection. Perfection is a pedestal built on a foundation of illusions. It demands consistency in an inherently inconsistent life. It demands flawlessness from a fundamentally flawed species. And when the cracks inevitably show, as they always do, it demands blood. In a world increasingly driven by optics, narratives, and the relentless pursuit of profit, the commodification of celebrity is no longer a hidden undercurrent. It is the main stage. Public figures today are not simply admired for their work, they are consumed, dissected, and projected upon in ways that turn them into both commodity and symbol. This phenomenon creates a dangerous cycle where the person behind the fame risks being lost entirely beneath the weight of their own constructed image. To understand the full weight of what this means, we have to recognize the machinery at work behind the scenes. Entertainment companies are no longer simply talent agencies. They are brand architects, marketing firms, crisis managers. They design public personas with the same meticulous precision as a luxury brand designs a new product line. Every interview, every social media post, every leaked candid photo is carefully calculated to maintain the illusion. In this system, authenticity becomes a curated performance. And yet, paradoxically, it is that very performance of authenticity that fans demand most. They want to believe they are seeing the real Kim Soo Hyun. They want to believe that the man who smiles during a fan meeting or tears up during a speech is giving them unfiltered access to his heart. This creates an impossible standard, because the moment that reality deviates from the performance, the backlash can be swift, brutal, and deeply personal. Kim Soo Hyun stands as a particularly poignant example of this reality. His journey from rising star to global icon is a narrative that millions have witnessed unfold in real time. From the early days of his career, where he displayed a quiet determination to perfect his craft, to the heights of Hallyu fame, his path has been marked by an authenticity that endeared him to fans across cultural and linguistic divides. But fame, for all its glittering promises, comes with an invisible cost, the gradual erosion of personal space, agency, and even identity. When Kim Soo Hyun first emerged onto the scene, he was known for his shy smile, his earnest interviews, and his almost boyish sincerity. There was a vulnerability to him that felt rare in an industry so often built on bravado. It wasn't just his acting that won over audiences, it was the sense that he was somehow still reachable, still real. Over time, however, as the accolades piled up and the stakes grew higher, the walls around him necessarily thickened. Privacy became a rare and precious commodity. Every move was scrutinized, every friendship analyzed for hidden meaning, every silence filled with speculation. And yet, despite it all, many fans continued to believe they knew him. This false intimacy, this parasocial bond, is both the magic and the curse of modern celebrity. It allows an actor like Kim Soo Hyun to become a part of millions of lives. But it also means that when he falters, even privately, the fallout feels to his fans like a personal betrayal. When we think of Kim Soo Hyun, certain images immediately come to mind. The stoic king in Moon Embracing the Sun, the awkward alien in My Love from the Star, the troubled healthcare worker in It's Okay to Not Be Okay. Roles that carried vulnerability, strength, loneliness, love. In these roles, Kim Soo Hyun wasn't just performing, he was channeling something deeply human. His portrayals resonated because they tapped into universal emotions: grief, hope, fear, longing. He showed us what it means to be strong and broken at the same time. He showed us how it feels to carry wounds we cannot name. He showed us how love, even when imperfect, can be redemptive. These performances became woven into the emotional landscapes of his fans' lives. But Kim Soo Hyun is not his characters. He is not a perfect king, an immortal alien, or a selfless brother. He is a human being, complex, flawed, learning. And it's precisely this humanity that gets so easily lost once scandal enters the picture. It is a bitter irony that the very traits which make an actor relatable on screen are the first casualties when reality intrudes. Audiences are willing to accept flaws in fictional characters. After all, it's what makes them compelling. But when it comes to the actors themselves, those same audiences often show far less mercy. The reason for this double standard lies deep within the architecture of fandom culture itself. Fans do not only consume performances, they build identities around them. A favorite celebrity becomes a projection screen for hopes, ideals, and even personal narratives. To admit that the idolized figure is just as vulnerable to mistakes as anyone else can feel like a personal threat to the fan's worldview. And so when scandal arrives, not as a fictional plot twist, but as an intrusion into reality, the reaction is often not compassion, but anger. Anger at the broken illusion. Anger at the perceived betrayal. Anger, ultimately, at the reminder that perfection was never real to begin with. In the Korean entertainment industry, image is everything. Talent is important, but it is the persona, the constructed narrative of humility, discipline, and moral integrity that ultimately determines an actor's longevity. Fans invest not just in performances, but in people, or rather, the idea of people. And when the illusion is threatened, the collective betrayal cuts deep. South Korea's entertainment machine is an intricate web of image management, public relations choreography, and audience cultivation. Agencies operate like political campaigns, crafting origin stories, planting media narratives, staging acts of public charity, and enforcing strict behavioral codes behind the scenes. Even dating can be forbidden, not for any moral reason, but because it interferes with the fantasy being sold to fans. In this landscape, the celebrity becomes a public asset, rather than a private citizen. For actors like Kim Soo Hyun, who have spent years carefully navigating this terrain, the pressure is immense. Every handshake, every facial expression, every Instagram caption is a calculated act of survival. It is not merely about being good at one's craft, it is about embodying a moral paragon that satisfies the public's evolving, often contradictory expectations. Fall short, even slightly, and the punishment is swift. Scandal is not new. Public figures have always lived under scrutiny. But the rise of social media has transformed scandal into something far more dangerous, an unstoppable contagion that spreads faster than truth, often fueled by rage, misinformation, and performative outrage. In the case of Kim Soo Hyun, the whirlwind began with whispers, online rumors, anonymous accusations, clickbait headlines, enough to cast a shadow, even without concrete proof. Before the digital age, reputations could be damaged slowly, methodically, through orchestrated media campaigns or major investigative exposés. Today, however, reputations can be destroyed in a matter of hours. All it takes is one viral post. The architecture of virality does not care about nuance or due process. It is fueled by emotion, particularly outrage, and incentivized by algorithms that reward controversy over context. In Kim Soo Hyun's case, the sequence followed a now familiar pattern. Whisper campaigns on online forums, sensationalist media outlets picking up the most salacious claims, amplification by social media users hungry for drama, an echo chamber of outrage growing louder by the hour. In the chaos, facts became irrelevant. What mattered was the spectacle. And in the spectacle, Kim Soo Hyun, the person, disappeared. What remained was only Kim Soo Hyun, the symbol, a target for anger, disappointment, and projection. It didn't matter that there was no evidence. It didn't matter that no formal charges were filed. In the court of public opinion, hesitation itself became a verdict of guilt. The industry, ever pragmatic, responded as it always does. Brands distanced themselves. Sponsorships were quietly suspended, and behind the scenes, frantic meetings took place. The question on everyone's lips was not, is he innocent, but can he still sell? If you have ever wondered how corporations handle the sudden implosion of a celebrity's reputation, the answer is this. They operate on damage control protocols refined over decades. Step 1. Assess the severity of public backlash. Step 2. Calculate the projected financial losses. Step 3. Determine if the celebrity is salvageable. In this cold calculus, morality barely factors into the equation. The question is not whether justice is being served, but whether profitability is being preserved. For brands, a scandalized celebrity is a liability, even if they are innocent. For agencies, protecting other investments may require sacrificing the individual under fire. And for the public, outrage often becomes a sport, a bloodless, consequence-free way to exert power in a system that otherwise feels disempowering. As always, the media played its part. Outlets hungry for clicks framed every rumor as a developing story, using phrases like alleged, reported, and sources say to maintain plausible deniability. Stories spread globally within hours, picked up by international outlets eager to capitalize on the drama without understanding the cultural context or caring about the truth. There is an entire industry built around the commodification of scandal. From tabloid sites to YouTube gossip channels, from clickbait aggregators to anonymous forum posts, the ecosystem thrives on creating a constant churn of outrage. Attention is the currency. Truth is a luxury few can afford or even want. When Kim Soo Hyun's name entered the cycle, it became just another commodity. His legacy, his humanity, the years of work he poured into his craft, all of it was reduced to a headline designed not to inform, but to provoke. The tragedy is not just in the destruction of a career. It is in the erosion of a basic human principle, the presumption of innocence. And when that presumption dies, we all lose something. As the media frenzy swelled, the public response became increasingly polarized. Fans of Kim Soo Hyun rallied to his defense, posting messages of support and denouncing the accusations as unfounded. They invoked his past roles as evidence of his moral character and insisted that the actor was being unfairly targeted. But this defense only added fuel to the fire. The more his supporters rose to his defense, the more his detractors dug in. The debate became less about the truth of the allegations and more about the roles fans had assigned to him. On one side were those who believed Kim Soo Hyun's public persona, his roles as a selfless, righteous figure, and refused to see him as anything but virtuous. On the other side were those who were disillusioned by the idea that any public figure could live up to the moral ideals fans expected of them. This polarization is nothing new. In the age of social media, however, the intensity of these divisions has reached unprecedented levels. The platforms designed to connect us now amplify echo chambers where dissenting opinions are often drowned out by the loudest voices. Outrage has become a performative act, an opportunity to assert one's own moral superiority by denouncing the other side. But what happens when those sides aren't so clearly drawn? What happens when the scandal is less about a clear-cut villain or victim and more about the complicated layers of human experience? The answer is often more uncomfortable than we'd like to admit. the truth becomes an afterthought. The rush to judgment doesn't allow space for nuance. In a world where the trial takes place in the court of public opinion, there is little room for ambiguity. The public has become accustomed to certainty, to quick resolutions that tie up all the loose ends neatly. This impatience with complexity, however, undermines the entire process of truth-seeking. What the Kim Soo Hyun scandal revealed, more than anything, is how uncomfortable we are with the ambiguity of human nature. We expect heroes to behave like heroes, villains to act like villains, and celebrities to be paragons of virtue. When the inevitable cracks appear in that facade, it doesn't just threaten the individual, it threatens the entire structure of our collective narrative. The demands for a resolution in the Kim Soo Hyun case, whether it be an apology, an explanation, or a verdict, were not about truth. They were about control. Public opinion, once shaped by carefully curated media narratives, now holds the power to dictate the terms of a celebrity's life. And in the absence of a clear conclusion, the demand for closure only grows louder. In Kim Soo Hyun's case, the ambiguity of the situation meant that no matter what he said or did, it would never be enough to quell the noise. To some, his silence was an admission of guilt. To others, his public statements were insufficient. No amount of damage control could fix what had been broken, the myth of celebrity perfection. Yet, even as the drama reached a fever pitch, a significant question lingered in the background. What would it take for Kim Soo Hyun to emerge from this scandal unscathed? How could he, a man whose career had been carefully constructed over years of hard work, maintain his integrity when everything around him was crumbling? Perhaps the most revealing aspect of this scandal was how it exposed the limits of the celebrity system itself. The very mechanisms that had built Kim Soo Hyun into a beloved figure, the PR teams, the sponsorships, the brands, were also the ones that quickly turned their backs on him when the storm clouds gathered. In the entertainment industry, loyalty is transactional. Celebrities may seem to have it all: adulation, fame, wealth. But those things can disappear just as quickly as they appear. For every fan who expresses undying devotion, there are countless others who are waiting for the next scandal, the next misstep, the next moment of weakness. In this system, the celebrity is perpetually walking a tightrope, balancing between adoration and vilification. There is no true safety net. The media's role in all of this cannot be overstated. Journalists, bloggers, and social media influencers play a crucial part in shaping the narrative that surrounds scandals. And in a world where sensationalism is king, the line between reporting and exploitation has become increasingly blurry. As the Kim Soo Hyun scandal unfolded, the media's approach was consistent with the pattern established by similar celebrity crises. News outlets, eager to capitalize on the drama, spread rumors, gave airtime to anonymous sources, and allowed misinformation to flourish unchecked. The rush to be first with the story often trumped the responsibility to be accurate or fair. In a world where clicks, likes, and shares are the ultimate metrics of success, the traditional values of journalism, accuracy, fairness, and integrity, are increasingly seen as optional. In the pursuit of engagement, the media becomes complicit in perpetuating the very spectacle it should be investigating. But while the media's role in inflaming the scandal is undeniable, it is also worth considering the ways in which the very nature of celebrity culture invites such spectacles in the first place. In many ways, the Kim Soo Hyun scandal is not an isolated incident. It is part of a larger, systemic issue in the way we consume celebrity. The lines between the personal and professional lives of public figures have become increasingly blurred, and the public has developed an insatiable appetite for scandal, real or imagined. This appetite is not just fed by the media, it is fueled by the fans themselves. Fandoms, especially those in the K-pop and K-drama spheres, can be fiercely protective of their idols, but they can also be unforgiving when they perceive a betrayal. The relationship between fans and their idols is a complex one, often defined by an emotional investment that can border on possessiveness. In many cases, fans do not just admire their idols, they claim them. And when those idols fall from grace, the resulting disappointment can feel like a personal affront. The idol is no longer just a celebrity, they are a part of the fan's own identity. the rupture of that connection can feel like an existential crisis. This dynamic, this symbiotic, yet fraught relationship between fans and celebrities creates an environment in which scandals are inevitable. It is not just the celebrities who are held to impossibly high standards, it is also the fans who demand that their idols live up to an idealized image of perfection. And when the inevitable cracks appear, the fallout is often devastating, not just for the celebrity, but for the fans as well. The collapse of Kim Soo Hyun's perfect image was not just a personal tragedy, it was a cultural moment that highlighted the inherent contradictions of idolization. In many ways, celebrity culture relies on the myth of the flawless persona. We invest so much of ourselves into the idea of the idol, a human being who transcends the ordinary and becomes something more, an ideal. These figures are projected onto a pedestal, not just by the media, but by the public itself. Fans build elaborate fantasies around them, shaping their personalities, their beliefs, and their values to align with their own aspirations. But the moment these idols falter, the weight of expectation becomes crushing. The same adoration that once buoyed them becomes a force of destruction when their humanity shows. We expect perfection, and when we don't get it, we react with shock, anger, and betrayal. Kim Soo Hyun's scandal, however, also exposed something deeper: the unhealthy nature of idol worship. At the heart of this system is a paradox. Celebrities are both adored and commodified, revered and reduced to products. The emotional investment fans place in their idols can border on obsession, leading to a toxic culture of entitlement. Fans begin to see their idols not as people, but as extensions of their own desires, wants, and expectations. In this environment, any misstep, however small, is magnified and weaponized. The line between admiration and possession becomes dangerously thin. The public feels entitled to not only know everything about their idols, but also to dictate how they should behave, what they should believe, and how they should live. This entitlement is deeply intertwined with the commercial interests that drive the entertainment industry. For every celebrity scandal, there are countless companies and PR agencies working behind the scenes to manage the fallout. The entertainment industry is a well-oiled machine, constantly producing content, managing image, and monetizing celebrity status. The power dynamics at play are not just about fan relationships, but about the way the industry profits from the image of the perfect celebrity. Kim Soo Hyun's scandal, like so many before it, became a case study in crisis management. In the aftermath of the allegations, his agency scrambled to contain the damage. The actor's public appearances were carefully controlled, his social media activity monitored, and his responses to the public carefully scripted. But despite the best efforts of his team, the damage was done. No amount of PR could undo the harm caused by the scandal. The public's trust, once shaken, was hard to regain. And while Kim Soo Hyun's loyal fans remained steadfast, there was no denying that the fallout from the incident would have lasting effects on his career and his public image. In many ways, the scandal marked the end of an era. The model of celebrity as a morally flawless figure had reached its breaking point. In a world where transparency and authenticity have become buzzwords, the old ideal of the perfect celebrity is no longer sustainable. Fans demand more. They want to see their idols as real people, flaws and all, but they also want them to adhere to impossible standards of morality. This paradoxical demand has created an environment in which no one can win. If celebrities show vulnerability, they are accused of weakness or inauthenticity. If they maintain an unshakable public persona, they are accused of being distant or fake. The pressure to constantly perform, to be both flawless and relatable, is overwhelming. It's no wonder that so many celebrities, particularly in the K-drama and K-pop industries, burn out under the weight of expectation. But what does it mean for us, as a society, to continue to demand such perfection? Are we, as fans and consumers, complicit in the creation of this system? By continuing to idolize celebrities, to expect them to live up to an impossible ideal, are we not also setting the stage for the inevitable disillusionment that follows? Kim Soo Hyun's scandal, then, is not just a story about one man's fall from grace. It is a mirror reflecting the toxic nature of our obsession with celebrity. It is a reflection of a larger cultural shift, one that questions the value of celebrity, of perfection, and of the very system that elevates these figures in the first place. Perhaps the true tragedy of this scandal is that Kim Soo Hyun, like so many before him, was not given the space to be human. The nature of celebrity worship, fueled by the media and a voracious public, leaves little room for mistakes. It demands constant performance, constant perfection, constant vigilance, and in this environment there is no room for real, meaningful self-expression or growth. Celebrities become prisoners of their own image, and fans too are trapped in an endless cycle of expectation. This cycle has far-reaching consequences, not just for the celebrities who are caught in its grip, but for the public as well. The more we elevate figures like Kim Soo Hyun, the more we set ourselves up for disappointment when they inevitably fall short. The more we invest in their perfection, the more we risk losing sight of their humanity. As the scandal dragged on, the question remained, what would it take for Kim Soo Hyun to reclaim his public image? Could he ever repair the damage done, or was the stain too deep? For many fans, the answer was already clear. They would continue to support him. His previous works, his past performances, and the persona he had cultivated over the years were enough to outweigh the scandal. But for others, the damage was irreparable. The fracture between Kim Soo Hyun and his fans was too wide to mend. In the end, the resolution of the scandal, if there ever truly was one, was not about the truth of the accusations, but about the narrative we choose to believe. It was about the stories we tell ourselves, about the ideals we construct, and about the ways in which we invest in the images of others. The aftermath of Kim Soo Hyun's scandal also underscored the stark contrast between the public's demand for transparency and their unwillingness to accept imperfection. As time passed, public opinion began to shift. Some fans rallied behind Kim Soo Hyun, calling for understanding and second chances. They saw him as a victim of an industry that had built him up, only to tear him down the moment he showed a crack in his perfect armor. But others felt betrayed, their disillusionment reflecting a deeper cultural shift, a growing awareness of the exploitation inherent in celebrity culture. In South Korea, as in many parts of the world, the relationship between fans and idols is complex. K-pop, in particular, is built on the notion of a perfect image, a persona that fans can idolize, adore, and even imitate. The line between fantasy and reality often blurs, and when the fantasy is shattered, the fallout can be devastating. Kim Soo Hyun's scandal revealed the toxic side of this dynamic. Fans who once adored him were now forced to reckon with the uncomfortable truth that their idol was not immune to the pressures and flaws of the human experience. The emotional investment that fans placed in him became a double-edged sword. On one hand, their loyalty to him was unwavering, but, on the other hand, their expectations were suffocating. He was not allowed the luxury of imperfection, a luxury that the rest of society is granted. The entertainment industry, too, bears responsibility for perpetuating this unrealistic standard. In its relentless pursuit of profit, the industry creates an environment where idols are commodified and their images meticulously curated. The human behind the celebrity is often lost in the process. Celebrities like Kim Soo Hyun are expected to perform on and off the screen, maintaining a flawless public persona while constantly meeting the demands of both the media and the public. But behind the scenes, the pressure to conform to this ideal can be overwhelming. Kim Soo Hyun, like many other idols, had spent years cultivating an image of perfection. His career was built on the idea that he was not just a talented actor, but a moral compass for his fans, a paragon of virtue. But when the scandal broke, this carefully constructed image collapsed under the weight of the very expectations that had been placed upon him. The emotional toll on Kim Soo Hyun was evident, and it was something that many fans failed to fully comprehend. We often forget that celebrities are human beings with their own struggles, vulnerabilities, and flaws. In the case of Kim Soo Hyun, his scandal was not just a career setback, it was a personal crisis. The public's reaction to his scandal was shaped by the same sense of entitlement that had led to his rise to fame in the first place, the belief that they had the right to control his image, dictate his actions, and demand perfection. In a way, the scandal was a harsh reminder of the limitations of celebrity culture. Kim Soo Hyun's career was built on the premise that he could be everything to everyone, that he could embody the ideals and values that his fans held dear. But when those ideals were challenged, when his image was tarnished, the disillusionment was swift and brutal. This disillusionment wasn't limited to just one celebrity.